Hello probably 3 times. That's 2. Hello. That's 3. Welcome to a very impromptu version of men's body movement that is really going to function as my rough draft before I record it for realsies for a course that you may know about, may not know about. We're going to do a real vlog style live video. Say hi. Why are you looking? Oh, maybe because it's hot. It is oppressively hot. Anyway, this is the course that's going to go into, just to kill some time before actually starting what we're going to do. Body movement swelter, I'm building it right now. Trying to create the course I wish I had when I first really got into, when I first really got into Cuban dance, saw people doing cool stuff. I'm trying to make the resource that I wish I had, basically. And yes, as opposed to spending a bunch of time, money, going to Miami and taking the classes that I took to kind of get these movements into my body, I'm just trying to kind of lay it out in a way that I think will work for most people. So the first little section here, we've got just one-off movements. So you kind of see people doing cool stuff. And this is just like how to, for example, put like bamboleo, pilon in and out of your typical basic step. And, you know, different moves from rumba, just how to Eleguas, Nyongo, some stuff from Colombia, how to take all that, put it in out of your typical 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So then you kind of realize like, oh, these moves aren't just moves, they come from whole other styles of dances, genres of dances. So the next section has, for example, full classes in Colombia, got a full class here, Mozambique, some class in guaguanco, Cuban mambo, full class in like Elegua, whole class dedicated to cha-cha local food. And then the third section, there's going to be sequences that kind of bring it all together. So now I'm going to go ahead and set up here and get the class portion going. So this is really going to function as me getting my thoughts together for when I record it for real for the course. So this is going to be my my little rehearsal, but it is also going to function as answering a question from a video that got sent my way. I think it is pretty common thing that we can address, specifically when it comes to body movement. In this case, it can be men's body movement. But it was a guy in Germany. He sent me a video of, you know, him kind of going through some other body movement video that I had done, and to kind of just see what it looked like. I was having maybe a little bit of struggles putting it together. Looked pretty good, but I think it's kind of a common issue that we can sort of tackle. The first part when it comes to body movement is like you have to have the actual movement. So we do isolations. So in your lower body, in your torso, and your shoulders, arms eventually, they need to be able to move in a particular way. And the truth is that, you know, it's a social dance, it's a popular dance, so most people need to be able to do it. So the movements themselves aren't too bad. So yeah, you got your torso movement, and if you sit at a desk all day and whatever, and you're kind of locked up in your torso, then, you know, it's kind of hard to get this side to side going. But eventually, you know, once you move to that isolation a little bit, most people can get that. The lower body is just really stepping, walking. That's not too bad. So what is going to make it look good isn't necessarily anything that's too difficult to achieve. It's just really combining it in a way that looks natural. And so hand in hand with that, you know, you've got your repetition, just smoothing out I don't have to tell you, that's my cat knocking something off the table. You got your repetition of just smoothing out the neural pathways. And so if you do a shortened version of the progression that we're going to go through every so often throughout your dancing, and just build it in the way that we're going to, that is going to go a long way into making the movements look more natural. And then, and this is where I think the guy was having like a little bit of an issue, is the order in which we combine the movements. So you can have your lower body moving in the right way. You can have your torso moving side to side in the right way. The shoulders kind of forward and back in the right way. But everything is dependent on what happened before in the kinetic chain. And so there needs to be a natural, energetic flow from the bottom all the way up through the top of your body, eventually out your arms and out your fingertips. So it's the same thing as, you know, you can have the ability to divide 12 by 4. You can have the ability to multiply 4 by 3. But depending on the order that you do 12 divided by 4 times 3, you're gonna get a different answer. So it's gonna be the same thing with our movement. So for the isolations, for just the movement and having the movement, we have to be stepping in the right way, all right? And so I think the easiest way to get a feel for the sort of grounded sensation of the dance that we're going to be using the energy from the floor to eventually get everything else in our body moving is to grab a chair, okay? So probably you're at the point where you're stepping pretty comfortably, but just in case you're at the point where you're kind of stepping like a house pet that you put cute little adorable socks on their feet, and you're more stepping by lifting your feet off the ground than stepping down into the ground, you need to just get a chair. All right, we're gonna go ahead and just do the shopping cart. We've done this before on a channel in various courses, whatever, but I wanna go ahead and lean, and I'm trying to trust this chair here, but we wanna go ahead and push into the ground like we're going to be pushing a car, like we're gonna be moving this chair forward, all right? And so the trick is that the weight needs to be on the leg that's bent. So wherever the knee is bent, that's where the weight is. And that's how I would push. If I was gonna be pushing against the wall, if I was gonna be pushing a car, trying to move something, the weight is gonna have to be where the bent knee is, which is gonna be the opposite of just being like, yeah, bend your knee, and then there's nothing here. You take the weight off of it, you can pick your foot up off the ground. The weight actually needs to be where the bent knee is. And that's something that people tend to take for granted. It's like, hey, put your weight where the bent knee is. Like, got it. All set, coach. Nope. So if you tend to struggle with that, the chair, all right? And it's just gonna be pushing. And that same digging into the ground is what we're going to use to get the energy from the ground and move the rest of our body. So when we're stepping, you know, I like to think that most of the time I'm doing a real subtle, ball of the foot down throughout the heel. And so not just stepping perfectly flat like that, but kind of having like a little bit of a roll, but I don't want to exaggerate it too much. And to get the feel for the weight transfer, you can actually just kind of glue your feet into the ground to start, and then just shift the weight to the side where the knee is bent, and then shift to the other side, and then shift, and then shift, and then shift, and then shift. And then as a test, if you want to say, okay, this knee is bent, the weight should be here, I should be able to pretty easily pick up this foot where the weight shouldn't be. Can I pick it up? Yeah, pretty easy. Now, if you were doing this, and let's say you were shifting the weight incorrectly as it pertains to this dance, and said, okay, this knee is bent, the weight should be here, I should be able to pick up this foot pretty easy, and then you realize you have to put all your weight on that side in order to pick up this foot, then you got to grab the chair and do some more work. So if we get in the knees a little bit and we're just shifting the weight from one side to where the knee's bent to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. We want to make sure that we have that ability because everything else is going to flow from there. As we move up, the next thing that we need to be able to do is counterbalance with the torso. And so this is the good old airplane. So I want to have the arms out to my side, parallel to the ground, and I'm just reaching from one side to the other, to the other, to the other. And the idea here is I don't want to tip the airplane. I want to leave the arms nice and parallel and just reach here with my torso. So if a graphic example will help, it's like there's a hook and it reaches underneath your rib and just pulls out this way. Pull, pull. It's the rib cage that's moving, and so the shoulders are going to stay parallel, and the easiest way to check that is by outstretching the arms. So when I'm doing this one, I want to leave the hips just frozen in place for the most part. So I don't want to be having the hips go. Like this would be a very exaggerated version of what I don't want to do. But even kind of letting them move side to side is going to confuse things a little bit. So I just want to lock the hips in place, put the arms out to the side, reach, 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 reach. And if I find I'm having a difficult time with that, and I don't really get the isolation work that I want in the torso, I'm going to grab my best friend and just sit down. And so then from here, I'm taking my hips out of the equation, and now they have to kind of stay still. I can even brace against like the legs of the chair, but I want to make sure that I have the sensation of reaching with the rib cage so that I get the upper body movement that I'm looking for. So we've got our weight transfer from the ground, and the weight needs to go where the bent knee is, so I'm stepping into the ground. And then the next thing is going to be the torso, the rib cage. And I want to be able to move that side to side independently just to get a feel, just to get some practice moving the torso, reaching, and then reaching. After that, what I can do is I can leave the arms out, and then from the side to side, I'm just going to go ahead and bring the arms in front a little bit in kind of like a zombie position, and then I want to be reaching in front, in front, in front. It's going to be the same side where the torso is going. So if the torso, we'll do it like yoga teacher style. If the torso is going to my right side, my right arm is going to be the one that goes forward. And if the torso is going to my left side, my left arm is going to be the one that reaches forward, forward, forward. We do it with the thirst trap angle. If the torso is going to the right, and I got my arms out in front, the right one is going to go forward. If the torso is going to the left, got my arms out in front, the left arm is going to go forward. And so you can just kind of flow into that one. So if you're going side to side, and then you slowly bring the arms in front, it's easy to get those two connected. So you got your zombie arms, you can go back to your airplane arms, side to side, go back to zombie, and eventually that is going to coordinate, for the most part, the torso movement with the shoulder that you're going to have when we start putting it all together. So we've got our weight transfer. The weight has to go where the bent knee is. And I need to be able to shift that side to side. I like doing it with the feet flat so it doesn't confuse anything. Eventually when I step out, I'm going to do a little roll, kind of ball the foot towards the heel, real subtle. But just to get a feel for the weight transfer, I'm going to leave the feet flat, leave them in place for now. For the upper body, we got the airplane side to side. We got our zombie arm, so we get some forward and back going in the shoulder. So that's just the isolations. Where I think that a lot of the stuff can get lost, what can make the biggest difference is that people say, okay, I'm stepping in the right way, I've got the torso going, I've got the shoulders going. Why doesn't it look how I want to? Is because there's no real order to it. So everything that's moving has to have a flow of energy from the ground through your body, through whatever comes before it in the kinetic chain, and eventually out through your hands. And so if you just think, okay, I have the weight transfer pretty good, I have the torso pretty good, I have the shoulders good, I'm moving all those things, but there's no connection. And so that's why it looks a little disjointed. And that's why if you're warming up, practicing, doing whatever, if you can do like the quick version of this, where you start just stepping with the right weight transfer, and then you start adding the torso, and then you start incorporating the shoulders, and then you put your arms in position, that eventually is going to get that just in your body with a little bit of intentional practice in the warm-up to make everything look more natural. So how we would go about doing that in like a longer explaining way, which longer and explaining, welcome to the channel, would get that weight transfer going, okay? And then what I want you to feel, as opposed to just the weight transfer from side to side, is this natural sway that your body is gonna have, like a skyscraper kind of blowing in the wind. They move, by the way. I don't know if you haven't, if you're unfamiliar with skyscrapers, they do move quite a bit. So it's flowing side to side. Your upper body has this sway. And what we want to do to keep that flow going is that we want to dial in on that momentum that we have. So feel that sway, and then just give it some shape. We're just going to harness that momentum and then incorporate the airplane. So side, 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 side. And where the weight is following the bent knee, the torso is going in that direction. So as I put my weight over to this side, I'm swaying this way, and as opposed to just doing this where I'm not keeping the shoulders parallel, I'm going to harness the momentum and give it some intentional movement with this airplane isolation side to side. So now, as opposed to doing strict isolation work where I'm worried about locking everything, I'm going to use the momentum of what was moving before the torso in the kinetic chain, really digging into the ground and really feeling, using the floor to have all this movement start to happen, all right? So you can just keep it even, side, 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 rhythmically even, or you can start applying the cadence. So you got your quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow. And then from there, we can do the same thing where we just slowly bring the arms in front. So if we're going side to the other side, to the other side, reaching a little bit side, and then start to bring the arms in front, zombie style, then we're gonna begin to have a nice foundation for applying this movement into steps. And so I can go ahead and bring them back out to the side, and then bring them in front, and just the whole time I'm making sure that I'm feeling the flow from the ground into my torso, into my shoulders. So when I want to do with the rhythmic pattern, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow, and I start to have everything coordinated, all I got to do is bring the arms down like pocket level or whatever, hip level, and I'm just gonna let those move kind of naturally as a function of the torso and the shoulder. Now, the arms themselves, if you want to have some more amplitude in the arms, torso, shoulder, that's its own ecosystem. That would be like a different video. But there's plenty of people who dance with just very chill arms that are just here, and they're moving just as a natural consequence of the torso, of the shoulders. And so just to get to a point where you have nice natural arm movement as a function of everything that's happening before it in the chain without worrying too much about going crazy with the amplitude, it's a nice place to be. So if I was going to do this as a warm-up, I would go ahead, I would get the weight transfer going. Side to side, side to side. Then I would feel the sway of the torso rocking back and forth, and I would try to be a little bit intentional about it, and then just make sure that I'm reaching, and just giving that movement a little bit of shape. I can bring the arms in front, and so then I've got the forward shoulder going, right? And then I'm just gonna go ahead and bring the arms down to my waist and let them move natural. If I wanted to do it with the cadence, and I can start stepping it out, feel comfortable with that energetic flow, I can just do paso son, where I got my quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow. Put some torso, quick, slow, quick, slow, quick. Put some shoulder, quick, slow, quick, slow. And honestly, now that I think about it, this is exactly how one of my friend's teachers who went to Folklorico, he would kind of warm us up like this, just with the arms hanging, just like dead weight. And really what it did, I didn't really think about it at the time until like right now, but it kind of ensured that everything was building through that kinetic chain, and just having relaxed arms, you know, kept us out of the trap of having the arms just doing their own thing with no connection to the rest of our body. So just getting here is a good foundation for natural body movement, specifically for men's movement. And then, like I say, once we start incorporating the arms, you can just kind of leave them in a nice natural shape, and they're gonna move organically just by staying in that position with what is happening before it. Or, you know, we get the chair for this one, they're gonna have their whole own ecosystem driven by the waist up, which would be a separate thing. It will be in the course. The link is in the description for the course if you wanted to check it out. Hopefully you got enough out of this little overview to apply it to your own practice. And like I said, the whole point for this would be you gotta have the movement. Movements are not too difficult. You gotta be able to have the coordination, do them all at the same time, but not necessarily independently. Is significantly easier, is gonna look more natural if they build. And that's gonna be floor, torso, shoulders, and then giving the arms some shape. So I'm gonna record the real version of it now with the good camera. I believe I am sufficiently warmed up. Thanks for watching. Diet for a bodybuilder. Woo. Boy, am I the wrong person for that. All right, have a good one. We'll see you.